Everyone, Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another important live video update tonight. First and foremost, of course, I do want to wish you all a very happy new year. I hope you managed to spend some quality time with family and friends over the Christmas break. You managed to celebrate in some way to bring in the new year. And obviously, I wasn't expecting to be back on air again so soon. Obviously, the rapidly changing situation, in particular in Victoria and New South Wales over the past few days, has seen us being absolutely inundated with emails, people freaking out, wanting to know how to deal with all this. Obviously, people in Victoria, it's sort of just a reintroduction of everything, but for those in Sydney in particular, this is all new. All of this wonderful mandatory mask rubbish. Seems like there's lots more of these masked, muzzled muppets out there now, unfortunately, and so obviously we've raced back from holiday because we do need to address this. We do need to try and deal with this. So obviously, first and foremost, the biggest issue is that introduction of mandatory masks, in particular in Sydney, and the reintroduction of mandatory masks for everyone indoors in Victoria. Now, quite obviously, if masks work in the way that they claimed, especially considering that most people indoors in Victoria are still wearing masks. They have been. All the major department stores, all the major shopping centres, they've all been wearing masks throughout this entire thing. So, of course, if masks work in the way that they claim, then we shouldn't have any new cases, okay, and we shouldn't need to reintroduce anything. And, of course, if masks don't work in the way that they claim, which they clearly don't, there should be no reason to reintroduce mandatory masks. They can't have it both ways, and this, of course, is the problem. Now, for those of you who have not yet done so, I know some of you watching tonight are new to these videos. I urge you all to please make sure you go and read over all the information that explains the dangers, the true dangers of wearing one of these pathetic little paper things for long periods of time, okay, i.e. all day, which is what they want people in shopping centres and stuff to do, okay, and read about those true dangers, okay, because they really are of great concern, and once you read those articles, you'll realise that as well. So again, just go to knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/vaccinations, scroll down and you'll see all of those articles there. Now please, if the only reason that you're wearing one of these stupid, ridiculous, pathetic, useless things is because you're worried about getting a fine, put that and the mask far, far away. Put it out of your mind as far as you can. As we've explained more times than I can count, okay? Chapter 3 of the Aussie Speeding Fines book has that 3-step process. This book has been around helping people with all manner of unjust and unlawful fines for over 12 years now. Okay, there's a link in the description. All you need to do is use the general 3-step process, general 3-step process from chapter 3 of that book, okay, and add to it some of the additional arguments that we've covered in these live videos over the past 6 months, and as we'll cover for you again tonight. So, for those of you who are new to these videos, who might not have heard some of these arguments before, very quickly, the key points, the 2 key points to note. First question is, are you personally the subject of a public health order, okay, pursuant to the Public Health and Wellbeing Act or Public Health Act, depending, what state you're in. Okay, remember, these authorities cannot just make a blanket order that supposedly applies to everybody. They have to specifically name each and every person that the order supposedly applies to. If you are not specifically named in a public health order, and we haven't heard of anyone who is yet, then those directives do not apply to you. Again, go to our vaccinations page. Have a look at the response that we got when we personally wrote in to our Chief Health Officer asking if we were the subject of one of these orders, okay? It's all been uploaded there. Write similar letters yourselves to your own Chief Health Officer. Okay, now, secondly, do the police who are handing out these fines for people not wearing masks actually have an instrument of delegation, okay, that is required to authorise them to act as public health officers under the Act? Now again, I want to make it clear, yes, police can be delegated powers under the Act, but they can only be delegated those powers by instrument, okay, by document. It has to specifically, again, name them. You can't just blanket authorise all police officers. You have to specifically name each and every police officer who you are supposedly authorising under that Act. It's exactly the same as police officers are allowed to use speed detection devices. Yes, they can be trained to use those speed detection devices, but they have to be certified and tested on the use of each and every device. Okay, then this is something simple that a lot of people don't realise, that a police officer might be certified and tested to use a Pro Laser 3, but that doesn't mean he's certified and tested to use a gasometer. It doesn't mean he's certified and tested to use a mobile radar. Okay, they have to be certified and tested for each and every specific device that they use. They have to be personally named by instrument of delegation if they are to be authorised to act as officers under a Public Health Act. Because they're not public health officers, they're police officers. Please understand that key distinction. All right, so the next issue that we keep coming across, people keep emailing us about now, is this push, this requirement for people to be forced to undergo a COVID test, as a lot of people are returning back to their home state. A lot of the borders have obviously been closed now, especially to New South Wales. And people are told, well, they can't come in unless they get a COVID test, and what do we do? How do we handle it? And people are obviously concerned about that, and understandably so. So again, the key points to ask anyone who is, forcing you, suggesting whatever, that you get a COVID test. Ask them, what exactly are they testing for, given that the COVID-19 virus still has not been formally isolated anywhere in the world. So what exactly are they testing for? Okay, can whoever is asking you, forcing you, suggesting you get this COVID test personally, i.e. with their name and their signature to it, their personal guarantee that A, the tests are safe, and B, the tests are accurate? Okay, because if not, if they can't, guarantee that they're safe and accurate, then what the hell is the point of the test? Why are they forcing you to undergo one? It makes no sense. But you need to ask the question and go back to the person that's ultimately forcing you to do it and ask them to put their personal name to this. That's how you hold them accountable down the track. Okay. Now, if they do claim that they're accurate, please direct them to the numerous articles that, again, we've uploaded. They're completely free on our vaccinations page on our website, where even the creator of the PCR test that they currently use explained that those tests were never designed to be used to test for viruses. Go and have that. Print it all out, print it off our website, keep it in your car, keep it on you, keep copies at home. So if anyone asks you to do these things, you can show them these articles, you can show them this information, and you can ask them these questions. So, given that they haven't isolated COVID-19 yet, okay, and given that they can't guarantee that these tests are accurate, would that not constitute medical experimentation, which is, of course, contrary to Article 7 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights? Now remember, this was well established last year in Victoria by the then Attorney General Jill Hennessy, who came out publicly, and the video's been doing around, where she said, no state statute can override your human rights. They simply can't do it. Now again, we have an entire chapter in our ebook, okay? Obviously we have one on fines as well. So again, if you're worried about fines, make sure you read that chapter. But again, mandatory vaccinations, mandatory COVID tests, any of these, they're all covered in this chapter of our book, okay? Please have a look out for it. There's a link in the description. Now, what that also explains is that mandatory vaccinations, but also mandatory testing, are A, contrary to your basic human rights. They're contrary to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, okay? But they're also contrary, okay, to that all-important British Medical Association court case that we also cover in that book. So please make sure you read that chapter so you get your head around the importance of these cases. Now, speaking of important cases, if you missed the bombshell that we dropped right at the end of the last radio show that we did last year, which again was a major case that anyone can use if ever the subject of mandatory vaccinations comes up, which of course it will no doubt do this year. Please go back and listen to that podcast. It has now been uploaded to the podcast page on our website. Now, look, we do understand that some people, especially those in Sydney, are only just finding out about us now. But please do understand, we have been here, okay, for over 6.5 years now, okay, informing and educating people about their rights. Okay, we have worked honestly, tirelessly, okay, over the past 6 months, doing 2 of these live video updates each and every week. That's on top of the weekly radio shows that we were running as well. So there is a heap of information on all this stuff already out there. So please, I'm asking you, go and watch those videos on our YouTube channel. All the titles, all the description, where we're talking about masks or COVID-19 or authorised officers, they're all explaining those videos. And of course, we go into even greater detail on our radio shows. So please, before emailing us, asking us the same questions we've been asked a million times, go and spend some time looking up some of that information for yourselves. And of course, once you found out about it, once you found out about our YouTube channel and all the rest of it, we do urge you, please, it's all completely free to access everything on our YouTube channel. So do share those links around far and wide with anyone who needs to be aware of this all important information. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. There will obviously be a number of updates as well as the return of our weekly radio show next week to address all these developing changes as they unfold. The key, of course, is to learn about your rights and, most importantly, how to stand up for them. Okay? And of course, not being afraid to act just because you're worried about some completely arbitrary and unlawful fine, which can be very, very easily challenged. Now, I understand that a lot of you are still on some form of a break, maybe for another week or so, and I'm just putting it out there that I would not be at all surprised, especially for those of you in Sydney or in Melbourne, if your illustrious leaders decided it was time for you to take an extra little break for a couple of weeks, just to get on top of things again. We saw how well that worked last time. So just be prepared for that potential outcome. And as always, I remind you, during this time, okay, don't wait until it's too late. Okay, go out there now. Okay, get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. And the best way, of course, to do that is via those books that I mentioned before, the Aussie Speeding Fines book, our Know Your Rights book, and of course, if anyone's struggling, especially after all the debts of Christmas, and you want to learn how to completely discharge any unsecured loans, personal credit cards, personal loans, things like that, grab that Bank Secrets Reveal book. Of course, you can get them individually, or you can get them in a combo set with our brand new Know Your Rights tote bag as well. A lot of people are sporting those at the shopping centres, which is fantastic. So, yes, I will leave it there. We will talk to you very soon with another important update, I'm sure. Take it easy.